Hello everyone. Welcome to the stream. Today we are on the Mon Ultimate once again. As always is the case. When was the last time we didn't stream? We've streamed something other than the Mon Ultimate. It was our IndyCar series a good few weeks ago now, nearly a month ago now. that was a while ago. But yes, we're back on the Mon Ultimate and we're here for a bit of a longer race this time. Sort of a race length we're quite familiar with in the past. 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes as well. And we are at Interlagos for today's race. Mixed conditions for this race. Just been practicing in the rain a little bit. Quite interesting, quite challenging around Interlagos, how technical it is. But looking forward to this one. We're about to get into qualifying. Welcome, welcome. I'm going to reset to the CDA setup. Max swing, which is probably good for the weather that we'll get in the race. But yeah, we'll bring the energy down to 19%. That should do us. And we'll get ready for qualifying. This is with Harakiri Racing, community we've raced with a little bit in the past, not for a good few months now, but we have in the past. And a very competitive group, let's just say. One that definitely find it a bit more difficult to be to get sort of up in the top half of the field. Quite a few very quick drivers, not just a few like we'll maybe see in the other communities. There are quite a few. To make qualifying session here. Let us get going. I didn't brake hard enough there. I don't know if this clears it. No, it doesn't, does it? Oh well. Well, might as well serve that as quickly as we can. First time I've actually had a penalty on LMU. Once the penalty is served, we'll just reset to pits and sort of start again. Since cold tires aren't that bad of a thing in the hypercars, which of course, if you're unfamiliar with the Mon Ultimate, haven't been keeping up with as much, or didn't join, wasn't here on Friday when we did a race with RCI. They're on an old tire model. The new tire model, much more sensitive to cold tires, much less grip with them. The hypercars are on an old tire model. So we'll get this cleared, then we'll head reset, take some fuel out. Then we'll go again. Cars up, new tires of course. Sure, that will do. That's one way to warm the tires up. Yeah, that mistake has potentially cost us 2 flying laps. But should be alright. As with Friday, this race is running standard 1x fuel usage, virtual energy usage, and tire wear. So theoretically should be a one-stop race, but with weather set it in the middle of the race, who knows if there might be a need for 2 stops. Just struggling with the front left. Maybe from the tires still being a little bit cooled. Of course, one thing I actually completely forgot, I've only really just remembered this literally last second, is of course, last time we drove the hypercars, that was also on an old bop. So the cars have shifted a little bit in terms of their power and weight. And so their characteristics are going to be slightly different. Hopefully can find a bit of time on the second lap, which we should be able to. Currently sitting in P10. A little bit of locking as I went to turn into turn 4 there. Car wanting to understeer. Well, nearly a 9/10 improvement. We have 3 more laps. Evening Geeky, a little bit wide through T1, has compromised us slightly towards turn 4. We're sliding out through the double right-hander. Much better exit through that right-hander. Held it flat out through the long left-hander as well. It's a bit of a poor start to the lap, but better second half. Much better run through turns 1 and 2. That'll give us time all the way down to turn 4. Turn 4 a little bit better. Oh, a little bit of front right locking just pushes us deep into the right-hander. And once again, I think we're just gonna miss out on another lap here. Oh, we get it in the final second. A little bit deep in T1, but we found 2 tenths. Rear of the car moving around in the braking zone for turn 4. Get the car into the apex this time. Final run to the line then. We'll pop up into P7. Yeah, we got the fuel and energy spot on, so we did. Yeah, P7 by 6 thousandths of a second at the end. Whew. Yeah, get on new set of tires, get full energy. 23.4 is fastest time, so we're 1.6 odd off that, but P7 is not bad out of 16 cars. Didn't see how many got quality lap in. I think that's 16 GT3s. I don't think the last car's shown up. I don't think they'd be last. But yeah, very close. Now on to the race. We've got a few minutes here to settle in, get ourselves ready, which is nice. As you can see in the top right, first near half of the race is going to be dry. Then that's when the rain can hit at the sort of midway point of the race. And then it should dry up towards the end again. quite interesting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the weather does exactly. Um, and yeah, it should keep things interesting. It's not like we're going to get into a spell of just heavy rain and the track just being really slippery and horrible to drive on. It'll start to get worse. It'll start to get challenging, which will be interesting to adapt to that, and then it'll start to get quicker again, and allow you to push a little bit more, which should be good fun. It might have just been from a setup they had loaded, maybe from practice in the wet. How am I doing? I'm doing all right this evening. Hope you're doing well, Kiki. I'll have a look at car subs. So to say 10.7.10, because we may need to increase that a little bit if it does get really heavy in the rain. Part rain. 0.92 fuel ratio. That seemed about right for qualifying. But if it's in the wet, we may need to increase that. I was running like 0.98 in heavy rain conditions before qualifying, so I may need to increase that. Brake bias, we're going to go well back, around somewhere in the 52% range at the front bias if it starts raining, if the rain gets heavy, just to try and manage the front locking. Yeah, there's not really anything else that will be changing. You can change like anti-roll bar in the car, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not going to mess around with that. I'm just going to try and keep a consistent platform rather than changing things and potentially going the way making the car less drivable. I haven't done any math on setup or on strategy, I should say. Just winging it and see what happens. But yeah, just in the top half. Let us see if we can stay there. Starting at night. Interesting. I'm glad we're not starting. The conditions seem quite dull on the dark side, which is good when the rain comes. Generally, it's the sun shining through the spray that makes it impossible to see through and just makes a thick white cloud, or wall of water, you could say. So the dark conditions should help keep visibility up in the rain. It wasn't too bad in practice, even though the track was fully wet. And by that I mean very, very wet, extremely wet, as wet as it can be. But yeah, of course, starting in the dry, that shouldn't be... that won't be a concern until later on in the race when things have spread out a little bit too, which is nice. Yeah, we do have one GT3 as I suspected. So 14-16 or 16-16. We have 32 car field, which is a good size for a race like this. Here we are, ready for the start then.
Green flag, green flag.
Average start. Well, that was a start. With a car spun sideways on track, I was like, I'm just going to cut this corner. You know, I don't want to drive into the side of someone. And from that, we now have P3. Completely not deserved, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Potentially. But I think also a couple of people got ambitious on the brakes. A bit deep on the brakes into T1. First time I'm trying any lift and coast. I think it could be good with the approaching weather. You know, just having a little more freedom on when to pit. Car behind, I think, was on the front row, so pretty sure they're going to pass us. And that I'm honestly not opposed to. I just hope they make a clean move. Nice lock up. Much better, T1. That was quite a bad double right-hander. Come on, just snatching that front left. Yeah, I've put a little flat spot on the front left. Pace isn't bad compared to those behind. Looking more at those that aren't the car directly behind us. Yeah, not quite keeping up with the cars in front, but I didn't think I was going to do so anyway. Oh, the rear locking now. just that little bit of rear locking just really unsettled the car. I will not get too annoyed at it. This Ferrari's going somewhere. They'll be picking up some track limit points for that. I'm not too annoyed that they cut the corner there. Yeah, we could have got the place back if they didn't, but we might lose less time from them doing that. The way might be a little bit quicker than the Ferrari. We have the straight line speed over them. I have a feeling we're gonna fight. Remember to the setup, we're running max rear wing for the Porsche. Oh, there's a GT3 facing the wrong way. Lost a little bit of time this lap. Ferrari really struggles with turns 1 and 2. Starting to catch up to the back end of the GT3 field. Bloody hell, Ferrari. Not sure if that BMW was looking in its mirrors. Ten more GT3s to pass. Ferrari is very confident on the brakes into T1 behind. Yes, I just absolutely used that BMW to block the Ferrari. Four more GT3s to go. One GT3 went spinning. Yeah, I was absolutely praying that the Aston did not shut the door there. Yeah, Ferraris are struggling for straight line speed. For a cutback from the Ferrari. Ooh. Did not think they were going to make it three wide with the Porsche. I'm not sure if the Ferrari that we passed lost both positions, sir, if they're now the one behind us. No, they lost both positions, I think. Clip the grass on entry, well done. That's rain already. Not even 20 minutes into the race. Just a drizzle for now. Ferraris running into each other into T1. BMW has separated the two Ferraris behind. Thanks for the track limit, Porsche. Those were brave moves. But we made him work. Track is damped now. I should set up a pit strat. Oh yeah, good spot, Kiki. I mean, I'm not too worried about the cars in front. I'm not going to drag myself up into that battle. I'm completely relying on them to ruin it for themselves. What is that Porsche doing? BMW's passed the fry behind as well. I maybe could have made an outside move there. And got brave with it. Just felt a little too brave in the moment. Oh, that's nice. Yeah, track is starting to get slippery now. Rain has gone to light rain. I think it's a pitless lap scenario. It is. Welcome, Marty. Later pits. Yeah, pits are going to be quite busy. Right, new wets, full fuel and energy. Yeah, everyone's coming in. Time to get a quick drink. Our pit stop should theoretically be a second quicker than everyone else's, just because the extra thing we had. Oh, later got a DT. Well done. Yeah, so we stay in front and have a little bit more of a gap than what we did when we came in. on BMW MP8. I maybe should cut back to the inside there. Just didn't quite have the grip for it. Oh, BMW stuck its nose to the inside of the Aston. See how much closer we are to the Porsche in front. If we didn't have that mistake earlier that lost us 2 places, put us behind a Ferrari, we'd probably be in front of the Porsche. But yeah, that one little mistake, us involved in that battle. And as such has cost us a lot more time. Okay, not get that slow down. To be honest, the car does not feel great in these wet conditions. Just feels so slidey. Yeah, if that BMW squeezed me any more than that, we were definitely going to have a coming together. Rin has got heavier. Yeah, so the track is getting wet quite quickly. That's a hypercar that we're going to lap. And now while we adapt to these new wet conditions, let's throw in the GT3s. Two BMWs are really going at it. BMW's gonna go at it again. Looks like they might. Both of them deep into turn 4. Oh, a little bit of rear brake locking. Ooh. Lovely wheel-to-wheel action between the GT3 and the hypercar there. Okay, BMW, just don't look in your mirrors. It's getting quite hard to see that apex at through left-hander. It's just hidden behind not just the A-pillar, but of course all the spray on the side of the windscreen that isn't getting cleared off by the wiper. How long this rain will go on for, we no idea. It came much sooner than I think anyone really thought would. You know, especially when you looked at the symbols. It'll come in the middle portion of the race. No, it came very early on. It came, what, still in the first 20 minutes it started drizzling? Far behind is dropping back. Oh, Porsche and the BMW have come together. Remember, that BMW had a dominant lead before they got drive-through at the pit stop. Just got back up into second place. And now all that hard work has been undone. surprised the game gave me anything for that. Also, nice rejoin. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Just rolled the car in and suddenly they weren't going anywhere and I'm just completely off the throttle. Like, you go in and they just didn't go. Got damage on the damage indicator, but nothing to repair on the pit menu. Just under an hour to go in this race now. Now the Porsche and the BMW are together again. I think they had a moment at that left-hander. They both just lost time. Peugeot's very kindly let us through. As we're coming up to lap more hypercars. That's P10. Weren't close enough on that BMW. It'd be a real horrendous dive bomb. Rain is back down to a drizzle. So maybe it's gonna ease up. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna ease up. I think we were fighting this Ferrari earlier in the race. They've had a hard time since the rain has started falling. Also, the BMW behind has got back past the Porsche, who's dropped even further back. Thank you, Ferrari. Porsche making that easy. Thank you. Well, Ferrari has turned into a disco ball. I'm going to assume just lock the rear brakes. Track's getting drier again. That's just something we're going to have to be careful of, is as the track gets drier, the rears are going to want to lock up a little bit more as the fronts gain grip. Perfectly demonstrated. Don't know if it's time to wind the brake bias forward though. It's not like, you know, the fronts are still locking a bit. I I think that's Valkyrie down in last place, 16th. So is that all 16 hypercars still running? That'd be pretty impressive if so. BMW behind is starting to catch us a little bit. Lexus leaving us the inside. Appreciate it. Racing line, BMW. Racing line, please. Rain has stopped. Now it's just a case of waiting for the track to dry out. That's in deep. Well, we lost the place, we didn't lose too much time there. Hey, if the two BMWs slow each other up again, hey, we might be able to take advantage. That Porsche did not want to be passed in that manner. But the BMW was sending it anyway. Second place BMW going on an adventure there. Ooh, Porsche found a friend. There's just about enough space there. Porsche getting bullied. Sorry if the spray on the windscreen is hurting the bitrate. I was thinking it's maybe time for a bit of move the brake bias forwards, and yep, definitely is. Not a good time to have a little mistake like that. You know, it just drops us off that fight with the two BMWs. Hopefully they fight each other hard, but it doesn't look like it. I think they've just had a simple position swap. Nearly ran it deep off the track there. Not a good time to catch GT3. I feel like I'm getting a slightly shorter end of the stick on GT3 traffic compared to the two BMWs. Well, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Oh, this right-hander. If you can't get past them into this right-hander, it is the worst place to catch them. Didn't think that BMW second one was going to let me go, but since they were also being lapped by the first BMW, They did. Just made things a bit awkward. And look at that. You know, just traffic wrong points. The gap in front is opened to 5 seconds. I open up a bit more with this Ferrari. Track is slightly wet. Yeah, we definitely don't need a full tank of fuel. Okay, that Valkyrie really scared me with that rejoin, but then they did let me go. And the Porsche behind has lost a place to Valkyrie. That might be a Valkyrie recovering from the turn 1 incident. Question is, when do you pit? Can see the track is still quite wet offline. It's a very good reason to not pit. Nice apex. Rear brakes are getting a little too concerning into that final braking zone. The car's just moving around too much for my liking. Dry line's starting to form in places. Yeah, not there. Pain, suffering, and time lost. Now this final pit stop to go back on slick tires is going to be an interesting one. Because it's going to be hard to figure out how many laps are left in the race. Because you don't know what the exact pace is going to be when everyone switches to slicks. All we know is that it's going to be quicker than what the pace is now. And so that the predicted number in the top right is probably isn't going to be too accurate. Thank you, rear locking. Welcome, Blakey. Long time no see. Good to have you back. Join us as we've just entered the final half an hour of this 100-minute race. And then I'm struggling with front locking into T1. Just brilliant. Race started in the dry. We qualified P7. Very interesting T1. And we managed to get up to third position. We've had some battles. Especially when the rain started to fall about 20 minutes into the race. Eventually we all pitted, changed onto wet tires. The rain has since stopped, the track is drying, we're just waiting for the lap to switch to slicks. and run to the end of the race. I think, yeah, I'm too late for the outside. I think that Porsche locked its rear brakes. Oh, that was scary. Just a little too far back to get this Porsche. Into T1. Oh, we're now 10 seconds back from the BMW in front. '27 is about 18 laps remaining. Round that up to 19. Or no, I'd say about 18. That would have been a dive bomb and a half if I went for it. Don't remember what the exact virtual energy usage is too on dry tires. I'm assuming about 2.5. Nice front locking. The problem is, well, the racing line is pretty much dry at this point. The track is still pretty damp off the racing line. I mean, you can still see the water reflections on the rest of the track through turns 1 and 2. And of course, to pass the GT3s, we have to drive off the racing line onto the wet part of the track. Fortunately, it's not like the Imola race we had in the LMP3 not too long ago, where we could see what lap times everyone on the dry tires was doing and base our decision off that. Maybe could have dive bombed that. Fair chance it went wrong. Too risky. Also have to go through the cold tire phase. See, like there's still some spots on the windscreen. GT3 on an out lap, struggling with cold tires. Are you blind? I don't know why you're flashing me 3 times when you turned right into me. Just shoved me off the track for no reason. And if you're doing it to try and apologise, don't. You know, like that. If we were on slick tires, that overtake would have been very sketchy. Braking on the damp part of the track on slicks. I also don't get the hypercar drivers that feel the need to flash every time they're passing a GT3 car. Okay, I get it. Some of the GT3 seem a bit blind here, as we just seen with the BMW. That was the line. Oh, understeer. I think we're getting to the part now where I'm starting to consider slicks more and more now. I'm pitting this lap. Gotta cover the Aston behind. Yeah, like that Lambo that we lapped in hypercars, just flashing all the GT cars behind us as they go past them, is annoying me. It wasn't a purple sector 3 geeky. Game's lying. .38, 35%. Um, 18 would be... Let's go 34. New mediums. BMW in front's gone 37. Gonna have to be careful on the pit exit. It will still be very damp. Oh, for literally no grip. Oh, for goodness sakes. Hopefully the damage isn't too bad. I don't think it's too bad. I knew the cool tires were going to be bad. Did not think they were quite going to be that bad. Just turned the steering wheel. Barely anything happened. It's like the LMP3 cool tires. Yeah, you very much want to stay on the racing line, the dry racing line. Because if you don't, there is very little grip. That BMW rejoining made that very awkward. You know, that's not on the Ferrari at all. They just had to avoid the rejoining BMW. Could a dive bomb there would have been very rude and very risky. Like if the car just slide as we run a little bit wide. Yeah, at this stage, the slicks aren't really any quicker than the wets were. Especially when you consider the extra time you lose going offline to make overtakes. Outside of T3. Yet, don't have the grip for it. Yeah, now the slicks are definitely getting better. Understeer. If you start getting understeer in turn 3, you're going off the track. Cannot brake that late. Okay, in the turn 3 understeer. Luckily, there's no one too close to us. We've fallen too far behind the BMW in front. The Aston behind is gaining, but is still quite far behind us. As long as we don't make any major mistakes, we should be fine. Ten minutes left. What on earth is that Mercedes doing? Just parked it on that apex. An understeer off the track this time. 27.6 from the car behind. They're pushing. That is some attempt to overtake. And they're going to have to do it again. .29.8. 2 seconds slower. Okay, they did 30.1. But I can imagine they're going to get back into the 27s. They'll deep into the right-hander. .28.8. Yes, that Aston definitely has pace on us. 30.6 a lap, so they off time, assumably with traffic. That's the thing, when there is the sort of gap between us, the traffic that we come up on, they're not going to come up on until 1 lap later. I think that was a Ferrari we were fighting earlier on in the race. 27.9. .27.5. Quite a bit of traffic here. Porsche so slow through there with Fry passing them. Just no space there. I don't know why the Aston's flashing. I think I was pretty respectful to pass you where I did, rather than send it down the middle, which some other people would have. Thank you, Ferrari. Well, that Ferrari died. I just locked the front left tire and it's like, well, if I try and... I can't back out of the move at that point. Is that I just have to kind of send it. Yeah, I have no idea how that Ferrari spun through that left-hander. Final lap of the race. This time has run out. That's what it looks like when you lock your rear brakes. I must say, we got the fuel and virtual energy perfect. Which is a surprise given the math I did was mostly based on what everyone else was doing. Up to the line then. P4. Having started P7, that's good going. I yeah, I wasn't expecting to finish that high up, especially with how competitive, how quick this community at least used to be when I did some races months ago earlier on in the year. Um, yeah, oh yeah, that Aston was definitely one of the quick people. 24/7 was our fastest lap. Well, I mean, just over a tenth off the fastest lap of the race, which was the BMW that got themselves a drive through. But yeah, the Carnage at the start gave us an opportunity. Didn't quite capitalize on it. Had a few mistakes. Cost me. I don't know if I would have if the mistakes cost me P3. I mean, maybe some of the earlier ones where it's like, okay, you lost a one or two play. The first one where we lost two places with rear brake locking into in the final braking zone, left hander. Um, that one you could say because then obviously that battle we had for we dropped from third to fifth, and the battle we had trying to get up to P4 while also having the BMW come and try and pass us. Um, that certainly cost us time. That if we never made the mistake in the first place, yeah, we would have lost out to the Ferrari and fallen to fourth, but we might have held fourth because we wouldn't have lost the same amount of, um, those cars might have started fighting each other, and we might have, been able to get a little further up the road. I don't know. In the end, I think the first of the BMWs, the one with the fastest lap, they definitely would have caught us, um, and taken. Although there was that Porsche that was in front of us that we ended up finishing ahead. How that would have went, we don't know. We probably would have had a bit more of a battle with them. That could have lost us a little bit more time, and then yeah, it could have gone anyway. It's hard to say. Yeah, hard to say what could have happened. But P3 may be possible, but it would have been a push. It would have been a push for sure. And it would have required certainly a cleaner. When the track started drying out, wasn't the greatest driving for myself. I don't know if it was sort of set up car related a little bit. Was struggling a little bit too, but it sort of seemed to be pace wasn't quite there. A couple of little mistakes. Traffic felt like I got a bit unlucky with traffic. It's hard to say, of course, how lucky, how unlucky others got. We didn't see their races. Um, like the Aston got within 15 seconds to us, but then fell back further behind them 15 seconds. They were definitely quicker than us. So traffic probably wasn't great for them either, even though it didn't seem that great for us in the first place. So interesting one, good fun race. The weather was very interesting. Did not think the rain was going to come as soon as it did, but it came. It made a difference. It was interesting, and then before it overstayed its welcome, it was gone again, and we were drying up, and it was very interesting. At the end, technically maybe it was sort of that close point where, like what we had at Imla, there was maybe the decision of do you stick it out on wets or do you come in for the mediums? Maybe a little bit too long left. Um, maybe if there were LMP3s that really struggle a lot more with tire warm up than any of the other classes. Certainly the hypercars and the GT3s. Maybe that would have been a tougher decision, but yeah, it made for a very interesting race. And it shows you like even though the weather is set, like oh yeah, the rain is going to come at the midpoint of the race, and like the first and second parts of the race aren't going to have that weather. Well, I mean, it was still in the first fifth of the race. The rain started with a drizzle. So despite the sort of more certain nature of how you set the weather up on LMU, it was still quite variable and still threw up quite a bit of surprise. That yeah, not expecting. So yeah, happy with that. That's a fun race. We had some good battles in there. Got a little messy, a couple of points. which, yeah, not ideal, but especially at the start turn one. But hey, that's how it goes sometime. So we managed to avoid the turn one stuff, take advantage of it, and yeah, wasn't too bad from there. Just a couple of little things. Mostly with other cars, we had a little knock, but yeah, wasn't too bad at all. But yeah, that's going to do it for today's stream. I'll be back again tomorrow with the OLMS series in the unrestricted LMP2s alongside the GT3s. We're heading to the Mon, which should be quite a lot of fun in their unrestricted P2 cars. Looking forward to that. That'll be starting a little bit later, 8 p.m. UK time, or about just over an hour prior to what it is now. So in about 23 hours, we'll be starting that stream. But yeah, looking forward to see how we can run at Le Mans. Um, we had an awful Silverstone to start our Monday series on at the moment, but a really good Portimao to make up for it. Yeah, we'll see how the Mon goes. It can go anyway. We'll have to wait and see. Um, yeah, anything can happen with Mulsanne straight slipstreaming. All the opportunities will be there. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, back again tomorrow. Hopefully there'll be some good racing. Um, and yeah, and it's been a good weekend back in the hypercars. I enjoyed that race a bit more than the Bahrain race. I felt a little bit more comfortable in the hypercars. Um, but yeah, it's been a little while since we've done GT3. We'll have to jump into some of that soon. But yeah, that'll do it. Thank you, Geeky. Thank you, Blakey, for popping in, chatting. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you as those two who were lurking around and or are watching the VOD back afterwards. Hope you did enjoy the race. Hopefully I'll see you tomorrow for our LMP2 race at Le Mans. If not, I hope you all have a good week. Yeah, till next time, take care. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.